Hello, and welcome to the 𝐻𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲. I am your host, Christene Marie, and tonight we're going to keep it brief. I'm going to get ready for bed while we talk, which is very exciting, so woohoo. And I want to talk to you about the number one thing that has stood out to me over the last 60 days, talking branding, talking with many different experts in the field who are digital creators. And so with that, let's get to it. The number one thing. So I have been doing the 𝐻𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 since June, and y'all, I have also been on a lot of podcasts. A lot of the content that my team has been creating are snippets and reels from these conversations, from podcasts I've been on, podcasts I've hosted, and it's great. It's wonderful, great content. And I'm seeing more and more people in our space do this because it's free content. It's easy, it's great quality. A lot of times you've got the lighting, you've got the mic set up, and woohoo. But here's the problem. The problem is that we then have to put it through Opus Clips or some other type of platform to cut it up and try to make it make sense. 10, 30-second clip out of a 60-minute conversation that resonates, that has a hook, that has an amazing call to action, that has a punch. Y'all, this is like impossible. I was on a conversation with Austin Armstrong, who has 1 million followers on Facebook right now, and I'm sure countless else other places. And, he was talking through his hook framework and his real best practices. And I said, well, Austin, what's your cadence of creating content yourself versus using all of the pre-existing conversations that you have every day? And then how do you decide when is it time to actually kind of pull off from old reels versus time to create a new reel using this best practice cadence that is proven, tried and true for him? And it hit me, and he was like, well, that's a really, really good point. Like, so many people are using and trying to reuse old content and trying to optimize it for the platforms. Y'all, that does not work. These reels are not created, especially with Opus Clips and AI tools. They're not able to get the integrity of what will make viral content. We have to create content with intention. No longer can we just pull from these clips with, amazing conversations with other hosts, but we can't do that anymore. The platforms are too flooded. There's so much noise. There's so much competition. And so because of those reasons, it's so important that we are actually taking time to sit down in front of our phones, our laptops, our video cameras, and record content that is meaningful, that is intentional. And what that means is, instead of taking the podcast reel and chopping it up to have mini reels within that 60-minute conversation, instead have an AI tool, still use AI, it's wonderful, have it create the scripts from the conversation that you just had. And that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm building out my SOP for 2026. So as I have the 𝐻𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲 every single day, I'm actually dedicating an additional hour and a half on the back end to create the scripts and shoot the reels in real time so that it's fresh. I just had this conversation, and I'm going to do that for my 𝐻𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲. And frankly, I think we should do that for every single podcast we're on. That's just part of our SOP. When our EAs schedule it, we actually plan to, on the back end, wow, I just realized I have this little boo font. That's so funny. Oh, the boo fonts are coming back, by the way, which is very exciting. This is so funny. I just noticed it. I love it. And I have a rhino. I have a boo font rhino. Well, this is why you shouldn't get ready live. That's so funny. I'm keeping it. We're just going for it. Y'all, this is where we actually get to really capitalize on planning out. Yes, okay, we're booking this show. Yes, we're booking this conversation. On the back end, allow for 60 to 90 minutes to recreate the highlight moments. Man, I think if we were to go even above and beyond that, if we have the people, or if you've trained your tool well enough to really capture, here's the thing. I will be in the conversation and say something and know there's about 5 different rabbit trails I could have gone, and each one of those would have been amazing clips. So if we have a team member or somebody else that we can have be on the call with us, that we can maybe just shoot them a ping or something like that, then they can take note of timestamp of that. Then you can go back to that moment in the conversation and say, oh man, it was 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Yes, I remember that. because man, is it overwhelming to try to remember all those little rabbit trails and all the other types of content that you could created from that one. And isn't that always the truth? That we record one piece of content 2 seconds or 2 minutes long, and then we know that there's about 15 different conversations that we could have taken that 2-minute segment. So if we actually dedicate our time after we actually have the recording and we have the conversation, then we can allow for all those rabbit holes and all the different directions for us to go. Y'all, it's so important that we're actually dedicating time to create this content. So in the SOP that I'm creating, it's, yes, 2.5 hours in total for the Knowing Show, plus all the, or including all the production on the back end. But it's not just the reels that I'm creating scripts for. I'm also creating the static content. Y'all, Austin Armstrong, Jonathan Mast, he's got close to 100,000 people following him, and he also has a community of, I think it's 80,000 people who are very active. Both of them say that they're posting, guess how many times a day? 20 times a day. So I got rewarded just yesterday by Facebook. I got a notification from Meta with a little surprise emoji and like the party emoji, and it said, "Congratulations, because you're posting quality content, we are expanding your reach." Quantity is 100% a good pursuit, but never on the altar of, at the sake of connection with quality on the altar. It is so important. It is so important that we do not ever sacrifice the quality of who we are, the quality of our voice, the quality of what we do, the quality of the impact that we make. Y'all, we cannot lose ourselves in the pursuit of quantity. So just a reminder for all of us, create in our schedule time to create. That is probably one of the most important endeavors we can pursue for 2026. And I've hosted a couple different workshops where we're talking about who you are and the types of stories that can derive from coming to know who you are that are so unique and so you, and then you can repurpose those and use them in multiple different ways. There's so much interesting content about you. I will get on the phone with our clients and ask them questions to pull out stories from them and then turn that into content. It's so fun. There's so many different ways for you to do content creation. But one of those that I really would encourage you to do is to dedicate time on the back end of having a show, being a guest, being on a podcast, speaking to a mastermind, and create content right then and there, because you're already feeling it. You're already juiced up. You're already revved up. You've already kind of worked out the muscles around the content of what you're saying. And then you can take the scripts, run the transcript through whatever AI tool you're choosing, create the scripts, and then tweak it as you go. One other quick tip, I use a teleprompter. And what I've done is that I'll read through the script so many times that I can be looking at the camera with the text like right. So here's the camera. The text is right here moving according to a time tempo. But because I know the text so well, I can look at the camera and just see in my periphery the text moving. And it's still authentic to you and me. We had the script derived from a transcript. And here's another thing. If you don't have any podcasts coming up, take your old podcasts. I have so many podcasts that I could do this with. So content is never a problem. And if you feel like content is a problem, go tell me you want to join the upcoming Knowing Workshop on the 18th. I think it's the 18th at noon. And we're talking about business for next year and setting our vision for 2026. That's going to help you also come up with content. There's content out the wazoo, but so often we just actually need to create the time and space for us to create, and also take time and space for you. Take time and space to actually have something original to say in the first place, so that you're not just espousing what everyone else thinks. Well, I didn't end up getting ready for you other than pouring my contact solution in my little thing. So you were spared.